when I was young, I used to eat Fig Newtons, and they are the processed, if you would, cookies that I do believe they contain some fig sugar, but they are processed. They are very tasty. Fig Newton cookies. I had my first Fig Newton cookie when I was about 4, I believe. And then years went by, I didn't touch one. I think it was mid-June when I was about 11 years old. I think it was a Saturday. It was afternoon when I was 11 years old. I had my second experience eating Fig Newton cookies. By this time, I had grown to appreciate more acquired taste foods, if you will. It doesn't take any acquired taste to put a piece of chocolate in your mouth and chew it up and like it, because sugar is as addicting as cocaine or heroin, so I hear. I've never tried cocaine or heroin, but I hear that sugar is supposedly more addicting, but I kind of doubt that. That's besides the point. At this juncture, I have an appreciation towards things that have a more earthy taste, if you will. And I felt like I appreciated the Fig Newton cookie a little bit more because as my brain was maturing and I was growing up, I started to tap into those new flavors that as a child I may have written off as bitter or uninteresting or boring or tasteless, as it were. So, as I bit into the Fig Newton cookie, I started to taste things that I had not tasted when I had tasted it when I was 4 years old for the first time. And I appreciated it more. A few more years went by. Didn't touch them. Didn't touch the Fig Newtons until I believe I was 17 years old. So that's, let's see. That's 6 years of no Fig Newton cookies. I didn't need one. I didn't feel like I needed one. I wasn't craving one. If I saw my friends eating them, I didn't feel pressured to have one myself, and nor did they pressure me to have one. It was just an observing thing. I would see, a Fig Newton cookie, and I didn't feel like I needed to do that. I didn't want one. I had no desire to eat one. Years have gone by, and then now, there's a party I'm at. I think it was high school, and there was a little carton of the Fig Newton cookies sitting on one of the tables, and I go over there. I think I had a coffee I was drinking, and I'm like, you know what? I bet now that I'm this much older, I bet you if I have that Fig Newton cookie, I'm even going to my tongue's eyes are going to be opened to so many more scenic views, if you will. That didn't really make sense, but the point is, the older I got, the more accustomed to these new flavors I would be. As you get older, hopefully you get wiser, and you observe more than just the face value of just, oh, this tastes sweet. When you're 4 years old, this tastes sweet. It's so good. As you get older, there's a hint of bitterness in there. Is it bad bitterness? No, it's not. It's a little earthy. It's the natural gaminess of that fig. So, I tasted the fig at the high school party, and there was more of an aromatic experience with that fig that I had never experienced before. And it was exciting. It was exciting. I think a few. Sorry about that. I'm getting distracted. A few of my friends were actually sitting in the corner. I think they were talking about one of the girls they were interested in, and one of them was trying to work up the other one to go talk to her. High school. You know how it is. But anyhow, they looked over and they saw me up there enjoying that Fig Newton cookie, and I was like. They could see it, the look in my eyes that I was, a new chapter of my life had basically opened. It was great. And they could sense that, and they were kind of celebrating with me. Like, my friend was over there, and we kind of made eye contact, and he was like, yeah, and I looked over, and I was like, it was like a bro moment, you know what I mean? I go back home, I slept so well that night. I think I dreamed about, just kind of running and skipping through a field or a little a prairie of fig trees, and it was exciting. It was a new experience that I was very happy about. So a few months go by, and I start to research figs a little bit, starting with Fig Newton cookies, and I was intrigued by the whole thing and the whole experience. And I turned to YouTube, as we all do, as you are right now, And I started looking up, what's a fig fruit? I typed it in, and to my astonishment, like a fig was this round fruit. I had seen them in stores, just pure figs, dried figs. Hadn't had one up until this point. And then I saw that there were fresh figs are a fruity, juicy fruit. And you can eat them like that apparently as well. And I kept watching these videos of people doing reviews and eating these dried figs. And it got me thinking, like, man, I want to try some figs. Real figs, not the cookies, not the Fig Newtons, as good as those are. I wanted to try just a pure dried fig without any sugar added, without any cookie crust added to it like you see in Fig Newtons. And it was time to try it. So I don't remember how I managed to get a hold of some figs. I think perhaps my friends brought them to school in a bag, and it was like the end of lunch, and I'm like, hey man, you mind if I have one of those figs? And they're kind of like, yeah, it's fine. And he pulled it out of the bag and handed it to me, and I ate it. I took a bite out of it. And my first impression, I kid you not, my first thought was leather. The texture of leather. I'm not sure why. Perhaps it's because the dried figs have this skin on them that resembles leather. So the consistency was, it was a little bit unpleasing at first, to be perfectly honest with you. But to be honest, I was so excited about the whole thing. I didn't even let it, I just passed that unpleasant texture right by, and just I wanted to dive headfirst into this new experience. So I pressed my teeth into the dried fig, and it gave perhaps a quarter of an inch, perhaps 3/4 of an inch. A quarter of an inch to a half an inch before it finally snapped, and my teeth had gotten past the skin of the fig, and at that juncture, I could taste the inside, which was sort of a really rich, sweet, almost like really, really thick Jell-O with tiny little seeds that you could taste. And it was this smoky, kind of fruity flavor that was fantastic. And it was a little bit gamey. It was earthy. And it was lacking that overpowering, satisfy any 2-year-old sugar taste that all kids love, It had more to it. It was more interesting. It made you think. It was like, the difference between watching Transformers 2 and Inception. You have to engage with Inception, and you obviously don't have to engage for Transformers. It's just mindless fighting. Nothing against Transformers. It was cool. But having this real fig as opposed to a cookie fig, a fake processed fig for kids, really made me think about what I was doing that moment in my life, and it got me thinking about my career, my future, my past dreams, and what I wanted to do with myself, you know. So that got me into figs. That was my first experience in high school at lunch, after lunch, having a fig, biting into it, you know, tasting all those rich flavors, the earthiness, the mustiness of it, if you will. If you've had a fig, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I was just on cloud nine that week, you know. I was just so excited about this happening and my new discovery that I went home and did more research online. Couple weeks pass, I'm going to the grocery store and I'm buying figs. I'm eating a lot of figs, let me tell you that. After soccer practice, give me some figs, man. You know, before a game, a little bit of sugar, energy, you know, give me some figs, man. Pass them over. You know, I want a little energy before this soccer game, and I'm not going to get it from a cup of coffee. No, I'm going to get it from a fig. And I was just enjoying this new chapter of my life until I stumbled upon a video on YouTube titled, "You'll Never Eat Another Fig When You Watch This Video." And I'm like, why? Who's trying to ruin my fun? So I click on the video, and there is a woman who is talking about how much she loves figs, and that she is in an area where figs grow natively. And she was picking figs, and she bit into one and found a bunch of wasp larvae. And to my dismay, she informed me, as well as the other 2 or 3 million viewers who had already watched that video before me, that all figs that grow in the wild naturally or organically have wasp larvae in them. And that it just made me sick to think about enjoying that fig, and all those tastes I was tasting quite possibly was influenced by an unhatched insect. I've got nothing against eating bugs. If that's your thing, that's cool. But I just don't like the idea of eating bugs. I never have, and I probably never will. So I went home, just sobbing. I went home. After the video, I'm just crying. I'm just kidding about that. I wasn't that upset, but it was kind of upsetting because I had grown this relationship with figs, and I felt that it abruptly came to an end. I haven't eaten one since I saw that video, and I've found a way to kind of get around that. I found that there is more that you can do. You know, you can meditate, you can exercise, and those things will take the place of your of figs for me. So I was in the grocery store last week, and I looked over and I saw a big carton of figs up there, and I kind of looked over and I was like, almost as if the figs were watching me, if figs can observe us, it would have looked over and it would have been like, it's not my fault, man. It's not my fault that wasps are laying eggs inside of us. And I looked over at the carton of figs and I was like, I know. And it was just like the scene in La La Land, where Ryan Gosling looks over to his love in the film. I can't remember the name of that actress. And he looks over and he's like, at the end, where they're in the bar, he owns this bar now, it's his dream. She's an actress now, it was her dream. She looks over, they make eye contact, and he just kind of goes like, and they move on. And that's what I felt like that last week in the grocery store. You know, I looked over at those figs, and I realized, you know, sometimes when you learn more about something, you realize that it wasn't for you. And it wasn't for me because I can't eat bugs. And once again, if you like to eat bugs, that's okay. I just can't, in good conscience, bite into something that has insect larvae in it. So it was hard to give it up, but I haven't had a fig since I watched that video, and yeah, I've filled that part of my life with other things, you know, and that's my story, my experience with figs. And as much as I'd say after I end this video, I'd like to go upstairs to the refrigerator and open it up and pull a cold fig out and relax and sit on the couch and eat it, I'm not going to do that because I can't do that anymore. It's not my lifestyle anymore. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your story, whether it be about figs or how you decided you didn't want to eat grasshoppers anymore, or decided that you could and you had self-control about it. Let me hear your story. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.